welcome to another episode of DKW, a show where we're not afraid to think different and to be different. On today's show, we are talking sibling rivalry. Do we compete with our siblings? And is competitiveness healthy or self-destructive? Let's take a look at what's coming up. Next, we're going to play the red and green card game. At 4:10, find out what people on the streets think with Jennifer Lon. At 4:25, see my sisters and I working together to make macaroons. And at 4:30, we'll be speaking to our panel of twins. Obviously, I'm not discussing this topic alone. I have with me the kindred Kim.
Hi, Melissa.
And the limitless Lisa. Lisa, are you limitless?
I think there are a few limits, but hi.
Just a few. Okay, ladies, so we're all here today because we've got siblings, right?
Yes.
So tell me, do you compete with your siblings?
Not now. Maybe I think when I was a lot younger, because as well now, when I was younger, there was just me, my brother and my sister. And then when I was around about 21, then I've got another brother and a sister via a step family. Yeah, just the other day, of course, yes. But no, not now, when I was younger.
Do I compete? No, not anymore. But I think probably when we were younger, there was some competitiveness. Just a bit.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get to delve into the root of the competitiveness a bit later. But for now, we're going to play our famous red and green card game.
Cool.
So, we know the rules and we know how it goes, right? Red for no, green for yes. Okay. So let's start with our first questions. And I want you to be very honest, ladies, okay?
We will be.
No problem.
Good. It can always depend on you, to be honest, I'm sure. Okay, so do you think that competition is healthy in children?
I'm going to agree because
Okay, so tell me why.
I think competition is healthy because it helps you to develop. It helps you to deal with boundaries, and it helps you to realise how far you can push a situation, and also to deal with the negativeness sometimes that you will probably deal with outside. You can deal with it safely within the family.
But don't you think as young children, sometimes it can be really hard, for example, if there's a game and, you know, there's a winner and a loser. So the whole thing of, oh, you win, you lose. Don't you think that can be a bit hard on children?
I'm so sick of this PC nonsense. Everyone's a winner, everyone gets a medal. No! Life isn't like that. I mean, you don't have to be, it's not as cruel as, you know, you're
a loser.
But they have to realise that they can't have everything. Life isn't like that. And if you're setting them up for that when they're younger, what about when they get to school and other parents haven't done that? You know, you need to,
good point.
You know, you need to treat them as normal, not wrap them up in cotton wool. So there's a winner, there's a loser.
And that way, you as the parent would always have to keep intervening, because if one loses, you've got to always say, oh, no, it's okay. And sometimes, do you really have the energy to intervene all the time?
No.
Who does? Speaking from a parent, who's got that strength to be always sorting out their fights?
Yeah, good point. Okay. Well, I'd like to ask another question, and in this, I would like your full honesty and sincerity. Okay, so have you ever felt jealous of a sibling or friend? I'm going to put my green card.
I must have, yeah.
You just can't recall. Okay, well, since Lisa, you were so quick, probably got a few in the archives there. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we can say, like, growing up, my sister, Denise, has always been a bit of a brain box. Me, I couldn't be bothered to study, much to my mother's chagrin. But she would always be, you know, A student, top of the class, you know, but even like we both ended up playing the same instrument, I think at one point, the trombone. She was brilliant at it. It took me a little bit longer, but I wasn't as good. But, you know, I was probably then jealous of how she was able to do those kind of things, especially with the studying, because I just couldn't be bothered. I remember even like GCSE coursework, one of them that should have been like, you know, a whole project you do over the 2 years. Mine was probably about I don't know, 7 pages long, and I think like 4 of them are graphs. So, you know, but she was able to do that, and she could put the effort into studying. So things like that, I really wish I could have done that.
Yeah. Well, I've actually felt jealous as an adult of one of my siblings. And this was it wasn't so much a jealousy because it wasn't kind of like I didn't want them to have that thing, but it was, I guess, because of the hard time I was going through. It was actually my older sister had gotten this new boyfriend, and actually he proposed to her, and he was now her fiancé, and they were having this big old dinner with, you know, the VIPs and stuff like that. And I felt a bit, you know, I did feel kind of a bit sorry for myself because I had just ended a relationship where the person had actually been unfaithful to me. So I did kind of feel like, oh, I want that happiness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I didn't want it for her, but I did feel like I wanted to get my violins out, sort of thing. I felt bad for myself. So yeah, that's
not quite jealousy, is it?
Yeah, I mean, there was that sort of feeling, a little bit of that feeling there. But yeah, it wasn't like I don't want you to have that. I'd be happy if it breaks up. It wasn't that.
Because I think that jealousy, when it's out and out, I want that and I don't want you to have that, I think is bad. But I think you can be, I don't know if the word is necessarily jealous, but want, you know, that kind of thing that someone else has that's good, in a good way, just because you want that same kind of thing in your life too.
Yeah.
So a bit like a motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, next question. Do you think that parents should intervene when kids argue? Well, I think I already know your answer to that, Kim.
No.
Okay, so we've got conflicting answers here.
Yes.
So tell me why.
I think, because I mean, I've got 2 children at the moment. One's 11 going on 12, one's 15 going on 16. And sometimes I intervene. But I find that when I do intervene, it makes them want me to intervene even more. Every time there's a conflict, Mom. And sometimes, but then sometimes when you intervene, you kind of get it, you can get it wrong.
Yeah.
And I say to them now, I really need you to do this yourself. You need to fight it out between the two of you, and you need to deal with it, because I cannot keep doing it. As they're getting older, it's getting more and more difficult and more intense. And I don't want to be the one to seem like I'm taking sides. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I always say, thrash it out.
Yeah. But I guess it's also good in a way to let them be able to work through their issues, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right. Well, I'd like to move on quickly to the next question, because I think this is quite an interesting one. Have you ever put somebody else down to make yourself feel better? That's a bit terrible, isn't it? But be truthful.
Oh my gosh. Put someone down to make myself feel better.
I can't think of an occasion.
Oh, you good people. Well, that's good.
I'm just trying to think.
Because I'm not saying,
I don't necessarily believe
it's not saying, no, but the thing is, it's not saying that necessarily we put them down to make us feel better. They might have needed to be taken down.
In that case, that would be green all the way for you.
There's some occasions where you don't mean to put people down.
Yeah.
But just being yourself puts them down.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's true.
I get where you're coming from there. Okay, well, here's another good question. Do you feel that you are more successful than your sibling?
Oh. Oh my gosh.
Well, since I'm asking you guys, I'm not going to vote.
No, you have to.
Do you know what I would have to say? Because this is kind of split, and the reason, and you know that I'm not a person on the fence, but because my brother and sister, then we share the same mum and dad, I would say that no, I don't think I'm more successful. I think that we are all pretty
successful in your own right.
Yeah, because for example, I would say I want to be, I'm single. Like my sister is obviously married with a child. My brother's going to get married next year. So in that regard, I wouldn't say that, and we're all like pretty good in careers. So I'm not going to say them. My others that are in their 20s, so a good decade younger than me, who are not yet starting in life properly, then yes, I would say I am, because I'm that, I'm a lot older, I'm doing well in my career. So it's kind of, that's why I am.
Deal with the original family.
I've got to say I don't, because I think, because all of us there's 3 years between me and my youngest brother, then the mum and dad, and he's doing really well. He's got a career that he loves now, that he's working on. As I said, he's getting married next year. My sister, she's doing really well in what she's doing as well in her study, and I'm over that. You know, she can do well in her studies. It's all right. It doesn't affect me. I'm not jealous anymore. So I think that we're all doing pretty well and can say that we've made our mum proud in that regard, because we're not reliant on them. You know, we have a good family network, a good family relationship. So I think that we are equally successful. Maybe they do a little bit better in the Love Life stakes than I am at the moment.
But you shall get there.
Watch this space.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to a quick break, but before then, let's hear from Jennifer Lon about what the people on the streets of London think.
What makes you jealous of a sibling or relative?
It sounds bad, but when they get something that I never got.
I think some people who tend to get jealous of others, I think it's something they're lacking within themselves. They're not happy with themselves.
There's been a few times when I was younger, how my younger sister gets treated much better than me. But I understand that because she's younger and she's a girl.
I think bottom line is to do with feeling bad about myself, you know, not good enough. And that's when I think it sets off more jealousy, you know, more I want what they've got kind of thing.
And how healthy do you think it is to have competitiveness in a child?
It depends. It depends on how competitive the person is, and depending on what the thing is.
I don't know if it is healthy, really, for children to be competitive. I think it makes kids argue a lot and want to be better than the other child.
Some of it's healthy because it makes you strive to do better, and not necessarily in like a competitive sense, but it just, you see someone doing like their best and you want to like try to match them and do your best as well.
Do you feel that? Do you feel that?
Sometimes, yeah.
Because I'm the oldest brother and I don't really feel it, but I know that my brothers do, and I don't know if it's good for them.
It has to be, because then if they're like, oh, like you're doing this, then I want to try to be like you. Because I guess it's more pressure on you for you to set like the example, right?
I don't know.
I think I was quite competitive with my little sister, with my older sister. Sorry, you want to kind of live up to them, but obviously you can go too far. So I'm not. A bit is good, but not too much.
Like an example, my daughter, she's 3. Her name's Star, and she's at nursery at the moment. And she plays with a little girl, and the little girl is always smacking her because she can't get can't get her own way with Star. And Star comes to me and she's like, "Mummy, why does this little girl smack me?" I say, "Well, why does she smack you, darling?" And she said, "Because she wants to get the buggy or something, and you know she won't wait." And I just think we've all kids and all human beings, we've all got that kind of naughty side, but to be taught the right way. That's what, you know, but then the bottom line is I think it's the parents. Bottom line. You know, my little Star don't do it because I've taught her well.
Welcome back. My sisters Shireen, Gemma and I went together to make macaroons. I love them. Delicious. Let's see if we were able to work together. So for those of you who don't know, we're sisters.
I'm Shireen.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Gemma.
And we're here at Ganache Macaroon and we're going to try out a macaroon making class. We're excited, aren't we?
Very excited. Let's see how well we get along.
Let's.
So welcome. It's a delight to have you here at Ganache Macaroon. So today we're going to be making beautiful raspberry daiquiri macaroons. Because there's the sun out now, it's been a few weeks, I'm so happy that the sun is out, so I thought a cocktail-inspired macaroon would be something quite nice to learn how to do. So I'll walk you through a demonstration, and once I'm finished, it's going to be your turn to do your macaroons. No competition. You will all have your beautiful macaroons at the end. And yeah, that's it. As long as, provided you do each time the same way. And that's it.
You put it in and then I folded mine back, but you've got to push like the middle. Yeah, so put your hand in, and then you've got to push this in the middle so it blocks it. So when you've got your little blocker like that, and then I'm going to feature it.
And we are here with the amazing Audrey, who's just taught us how to make some delicious macaroons. They're pretty good, aren't they?
Fantastic, so delicious. Audrey, how do you think that we did?
You did really, really well. I was very impressed. Once you got your first macaroon piped out of the way, all the ones after that, it was plain sailing. Well done,
Yeah,
girls.
I had to say, I think they look semi-professional.
They did.
In those shops. Yeah.
Well, we have your telephone numbers, so if we need apprentices, we'll call.
Well, would you tell us, how did you get into macaroon making?
Basically, I'm French. I was born and bred in Paris, and I've lived in this country in the UK for 7 years. So when I arrived here, even though I was in marketing, I kind of decided I wanted to do something with food. It took a while for me to pinpoint exactly what it is I wanted to do. So I worked in restaurants, which it wasn't for me at all. It was so busy. I worked in a patisserie, and little by little I started to fine-tune what it is that I liked. And then I decided to try macaroons, and I've never looked back.
Never looked back. Well, Audrey, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
We're going to try not to eat all our macaroons before we get home, but it's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you. Thank you.
Well, as you could see from there, we worked quite well together, didn't we, ladies?
For once, well
I know. Yes, yeah, we did do quite well together, but it hasn't always been like that in the past. Hopefully I'll get to touch on that a bit later. But right now we've got our panel of twins. Welcome, beautiful ladies. Would you mind introducing yourselves and telling us also if you've ever had a competitive moment amongst yourselves?
Hi, my name's Lydia. Okay, I am a bit competitive, but we came competitive for good things, like things for exams, because it kind of motivates us. Like if she gets something better, I want to push more. So yeah, I think a competitive streak is there, just a little bit.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Justina. Is that too high?
No, that's fine, go
Oh, sorry. My name's Justina, and I do agree with my sister. We are competitive, and it's good because we motivate each other. For example, if I got a higher grade and she got a lower grade, instead of her feeling down, she feels motivated to do better. So I guess it is a good thing.
Hi, I'm Karine. We always work together. We're never competitive. We always help each other.
Oh, that's nice.
Hi, my name is Selena. We never really compete against each other, but when she gets good grades or anything like that, like when we're growing up, my mum would treat her and us. So we're more like a team. Like if she does well, we're both happy for each other. But we do compete and want to have individual goals as well. So
have you never felt? So for example, has there never been an occasion where one has done well and one has done really badly? Have you never ever even had that slight feeling of like, oh, she did a lot better than me and I wish I could have done better?
I always secretly feel like, oh no, I wish I could be more like her at certain subjects. Like, oh, I wish I was much stronger like she is. So.
Aww, still very sweet.
I just want to throw a question at you. You say that, you haven't felt competitive towards each other. Do you think that's anything to do with the way your parents brought you up?
Oh, yes, definitely, because it's always us two. It's never like, oh, she's the better one kind of thing. Or
they treat us the same.
But you said that how if you did well, your mum would treat you both.
Yeah.
Isn't that not fair?
That's what I think. Oh, yeah.
One person in a way, really.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe more like the way she expresses her feelings. Like she'll say, "Oh, I'm so proud of you," but it's never like proud of both of you. But when it comes to going out and stuff treating, it's always two of us.
What about punishments? Did you get punished together? when one did something bad?
Oh yeah, it was kind of like that because I felt bad as well. Like if she's in trouble, I always feel bad, and she looks at both of us, kind of thing. So.
What about for you?
Yeah, same question to two of you.
Is that the same thing?
Actually, when she gets in trouble, I get in trouble. So I remember there's a time that she got into trouble and I told Mum, please don't get me involved. I don't want nothing to do with it. But all the time, I remember she would do something and I'll get the blame for it. And I remember I was in school one time and I was walking in the corridor and the teacher came to me and started shouting at me. And then he stopped. He said, hold on. You're not Lydia, are you? He said, I'm so sorry. And then he was just like, my apologies. Let me just go get your sister.
Can I say, because that was an accident, but because this was, I always wanted to be, twin when you're young, when you're watching things like Sweet Valley High and those kind of things. And I used to think, oh my gosh, it'd be so great if we could swap identities and pretend to be the other one. Have you guys ever done that? Pretended to be the other twin on purpose to confuse someone?
Okay, so we must have done it during GCSE times and young. We wanted to do it. So we had Spanish. It was Spanish after break time, and she wanted to get out of history. I wanted to get out of geography. I went in her lesson and we went in our lesson. The teachers didn't know. Well, I think no. As we were swapping, our head of hall came in. As I'm walking out the door and walking in. We got into so much trouble never again. Never again.
Nearly.
So you didn't get away with it then?
No, he said we were doing fraud.
It would be fraud.
Yeah, it would.
How amazing.
We didn't think it was that we didn't really think of it in that way. But he was like, "You're doing fraud," and me and sister looked at each other like, "Fraud, really?" we were we're basically the same. We have the same DNA, so technically we're not doing anything wrong.
Well, but see, this have been nodding the whole time. So go on, at the end, Karine, what have you done?
I was in a PE lesson and I was pretending to be my sister. And because there was a girl in there that doesn't really like me. So she was like, you're not the twin. I was like, then that's when I got in trouble. If she didn't open her mouth, I would have got away with it. So we had so much moments like that in our, when we was in secondary school. Every time she got in trouble, it was always her that was in trouble. And then for a split second, she'd be like, oh, that's actually her. She's the one that's in trouble. Oh, but she knows always outcome. I always stick up for myself. So the outcome was always her ending up in trouble. So.
Have you ever been able to fool your parents with it though?
No. Never.
What about you two? Yeah.
My mum's confused anyway. My mum. Exactly what she said. My mum's confused. Yeah. She never got it right in the first place. So if we were to confuse her, I don't even think she would know.
So your mum still can't tell you apart?
Yeah. She just calls us twins and whatever.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Have you ever seen a benefit of confusing your mother?
You both do that at exactly the same time. No, yeah.
There's no benefit to confusing her.
I think it's just normal when we when we confuse her. It's like normal, and even when she finds out that we're confusing her, she just laughs it off because she can't. She doesn't have the strength. She can't be bothered.
Well, I want to ask you though. Obviously, you're identical, so you're almost like the same person. But does that mean that you get compared to each other a lot? Like, oh, you're not like it, or you should be more like the other one. And how, if that does happen, how does that make you feel?
Oh, can I start?
Yes.
Go for it.
To this very day, I get compared every single day. It's like even at school, at work, because we work in the same place.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Every time she got a job, I got a job. Every time she got a job, like she got she got her job. She wanted to go look for a job. I know I was not even in the mood to look for a job, but she got the job. And in her interview, I came in her interview, and the next week I got an interview and I got the job that same day.
Wow.
Yeah, and then for me, our second job, she applied for it, and I saw the application. I thought to myself, this is too long. So I just went with her, and they said, oh, wow, you're twins. And then, and he said, okay, well, both of you just fill this in. And I said, okay, I didn't need to fill this in. And we got the job at the same time, work at the same place, work at the same hours.
They got two for the price of one.
Two for the price of one. There's benefits and to be interested. But you were going to say about the comparisons, you know.
Yes, I've sort of gotten used to it now because I've realised that every single day, people, even if it's not people around you, people that don't know you, they're going to automatically compare you. Especially even if your sisters, especially now that I'm a twin, everything will be like, oh, how comes your sister can do this and you can't do that? I think they forget that we're twins, but we're not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, we are totally different. There's things that I like and she doesn't like. But people forget that because we're twins and we look alike, and it's like, But we're compared every day to this day. Does
that bother you? I mean, that people would compare you, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, literally every single time we do something individually, it's like, oh, how come you guys you do this and I do this? But it's like, yeah, we are individuals, even though we love working together, doing projects together, like acting and stuff. But we do have our individual projects we want to do by ourselves. But even when it's just her, they want both of us. It's like, oh, God. I just want to have my own thing going on at the same time.
Well, we're going to take a short break now, but we're going to hear more from our fabulous panel after the break. Welcome back, and joining us today on the topic of sibling rivalry, we have our fabulous panel of twins. Hello again, ladies. Hi. Now, I've got a question for you. Do you think that you can be competitive without being ruthless?
Yes, definitely. Because secretly we do compete, especially when we have our arguments. It's always related to what we do, and it's like, oh, you did it this way, and I think you should do it this way. So it's we think the way we do things is even if it's together, I feel we do compete secretly.
But is it also like having a permanent bestie?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, we help each other out. We speak and talk about the acting world and the modelling world. We help each other, and not all the time we want to model together. Sometimes we just want to be separate.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
For us, it's a bit different because with me and my sister, we try to do things to not just help each other. So if she finds a way of doing something, I want her to tell me. And I don't think there's competition in that sense of manner because we weren't brought up in a way to feel like your way's better than my way. So if we see that this way is going to help you, it's sure going to help me. So I think competition would be...
Do you want to be, because I know you both saying you want to be like modelling and acting, do you guys want to do the same thing in life?
No.
I think that helps because I was going to say, obviously, modelling and acting, that kind of industry anyway is competitive in itself. So the fact that you both want to do that and you both look the same, there must be a kind of fear or, a kind of concern of, they might choose the better twin. If they choose her over me, does that mean that she's a better twin?
Yeah. It's a bit like a Venus and Serena type thing. Yeah. Everyone always compares. I mean, do you feel that... Sorry, if we pass it back to the girls, just feel the same?
Sometimes not two of us are available, so if they're looking for one, any of us just turn up and we just take the role. They never ask us for like, oh, we want Celine and we want Karine. They just ask us for one of us and we just turn up. Like especially our friends, when they see something like a project on TV, they come up to me and think, oh wow, we saw this and we saw you did this, and then I'm like, oh, it wasn't me. And every time they see it, and it makes me feel like every time it's not me, they see it, and when it's me, they don't see it. So it makes me feel like they kind of favourite my sister. They say, oh, why don't you do this like her? Like, is she more available? Is she more interesting?
Is she better than you?
I mean, you all four of you make it sound so much fun to be twins, but there's got to be a difficult side to this. I mean, could you just... What is difficult about being...
Shed some light on that for us.
I think it's the arguments and people calling us the twins. Like, we don't have identity, so sometimes it's hard. Like, I'm girly girl, sometimes, like, more than her. And sometimes my sister feels pressured into buying boots and, like, buying hair, buying weave and stuff. And sometimes she don't want to. So that's the pressure. Like, yeah, I think I'm much more laid back and... like not into fashion like she is, but it kind of benefits me because she tells me, oh, you should do it this way, and then when it's about more educational side, I'm more like hands-on. I help her with the books, so we help each other.
And for you guys?
That's actually the same as me and my sister, because I'm more educational and she's more into makeup. Like, when we were in the makeup room, she was talking about makeups that I really didn't understand, to be honest with you. But she said, oh, it looks good with this. And I said, okay. But it's kind of annoying because I have a name and so does she. And I understand that people may not know us, but when they call us twins or is it you or your sister or something like that, it kind of gets annoying, especially when the person has known you for a long time. But with my mum, like, for example, my mum doesn't really know who's who. With her, I understand because she's kind of getting older and things. But it just makes me laugh with my mum. I don't take it to heart. I think it's just funny till this day. She doesn't know which ones were who. Or I actually don't mind. I'm not bothered because I know there's certain things that she can do that I can't do. But in terms, I'm not trying to big myself up, but I can do a lot of creative things that she does not know how to do at all. And sometimes she's shocked when it comes in education in certain subjects where I'm actually better than her. She doesn't understand. Like in GCSE, she was surprised that I got the same grade as her in maths. So that was a shocker for her. I think I was, to be honest, that's the day I was really upset because I didn't understand how I worked so hard. And I felt like she was smarter than me. And I remember we did English and she didn't revise. She would revise in front of the TV. I spent hours on the dining room table revising, and I got the same grade as her. I was like, no.
But this is the kind of thing I was saying, like in the break or earlier about. I mean, I'm not a twin, but with my sister was like a brain box. Okay, so she didn't have, didn't feel like she had to put effort into it. Whereas me, I just got so bored with it, I couldn't be bothered doing it, and it would just frustrate me. Tanisha's got A's, and I'd be like, we won't talk about that.
So it made it more of a competition. So next time we would have retakes, I will make sure I said, if I'm doing this revision, it has to show. And I got one of the highest grades. And she went to me, Tina, what did you get? And she just did this. Oh, well done. I'm so proud of you. And it was nice because it's not like she was jealous, but it was good to know. So yeah,
that's good. Well, I want to go back to the point that you made. I think now this is terrible, so I can't remember your name, so I'm not going to address you as a twin. But you were saying about how sometimes it can make you feel like when your friends are talking about things that your sister's done, etc. I mean, how do you kind of combat that feeling? Do you know what I mean? How do you kind of overcome that feeling?
I kind of just say, like, even when it's not true, I'll just say, oh yeah, she's more available than me. She's more outgoing than me. Even though sometimes I feel like it's maybe because they see her picture and favourite her, and maybe sometimes I should just be honest and say, they probably like her look more than mine, and just be honest. But sometimes just say, oh yeah, she's more available than me. So.
Do you? I mean, because I noticed that when you came in today, obviously you're dressed quite similarly, not on purpose, but with that kind of in mind, does it make you want to sometimes, like, I'm purposely going to dress differently or act differently so
definitely.
people are not going to compare me?
Yeah, I do that so much time, especially like church. She has her look, and I'm beginning to change my look now, like do my own thing. even my sister, without her noticing, she wants to dress me like she wants to say, oh, you should do it this way. And on purpose, I say, oh, I don't want to wear that, and have my own thing.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you look at your sister and say, that looks really good on her. That's going to look good on me too.
That's true.
I would do that. Yeah, I like how she's done that. I know it's going to look good on me.
Wouldn't need to worry about fitting rooms, like, going to the shops and it's busy.
Because I encourage her, because when I see me on TV, you look like me. Like, you don't need to feel upset. Like, it's not me. You look like me, so it's all right, sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. That's true. But at the same time, it's just like when it comes to friends, they know, because they know that is, you know what I mean? They know who is who when I address it to them. So it's just about in terms of friends. They'll tell them next time.
What about you guys? I mean, is it that you naturally try and, because your hair is like almost identical. Is it purpose, or do you like want to dress differently or act differently?
It's like, I have an idea. Like, before I did this hairstyle, she said she didn't want to do it. She didn't like it. On the day of doing my hair, I asked her just before we left the house, oh, what hairstyle are you doing? Actually, I thought about it. I want to do a fringe. I said, are you serious? Like, are you actually kidding me? And so much so that I think sometimes people expect us to do the same thing. Sometimes I personally I don't mind being called the twins and all stuff, but sometimes I just like to be individual, just like for me.
Be different, so that people can see your different personalities in you.
Yeah, but with me, the fact that I'm a twin, I like to embrace the fact that I'm a twin. So when I know, like, as you get older, you should be more of an individual, but it's like I like being a twin's part of me. So, for example, every one of our hairstyles always been the same. If it's not the same, if she's having middle, I'm having side, or if we're having middle, I'll just have my different colour hair, something. But I like being a twin, so I do as much as I can to look like my sister. For example, when she got the fringe, I was thinking, I want to look like, I like the look, I like the idea, I like the hairstyle, so I might as well get it done if I look like her more.
Because you two as well, I mean, it's different colours, but you are dressed very similarly. Because you both stud earrings, both a necklace, it's a simple dress, and you're both wearing black shoes and black tights, so, you know.
I want to just ask a quick question. Obviously sibling rivalry is something that's quite common, and it's in a way quite normal. But what do you think happens when sibling rivalry turns into adult envy?
I think with that, I don't know how exactly to answer this, but with me, when me and my sister, we have arguments, and it can be from silly arguments to, oh, where's my thing? And I'm the sort of person that when my sister has something and I like it, I would want to buy it as well. But when it comes to rivalries, like, I don't want to ever be the one to look at my sister wrong or have bad eyes towards her. So if she's done something to me, I always have in my mind, okay, don't say anything stupid, because I've seen, like, brothers and sisters or sisters and sisters just grow, like, apart, and I don't want that to be between me and my sister, because we've been so close ever since we were younger, and I can actually say it's me and my sister in my family. Even though I have an older sister, it's always been me and my sister, and I don't want anything to, get in the way of that. No object, no person. I don't want that to be the case. So, yeah.
Who's the first one to say I'm sorry?
In some terms, when I say sorry, I don't say like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, listen, I'm sorry, okay? Like, okay. I'm sorry. But when she comes to saying sorry, I need to make her understand that she was in the wrong. So I go about the silent treatment. I be like, you don't understand. If it was me. So okay, we have the most serious arguments, like where you keep my things. Like, she always keeps my things, picks up my things, and she doesn't put it back where she found it. So it's like when I'm getting ready in the morning and I'm like on a goose hunt, like I don't know where it is. And I'm like, but if it was me, like you'd expect me to look for you. So could you just be nice to me and I make her understand like why I'm upset. And she'd be like, oh, I'm really, like, I'm sorry, like, you need to understand, I'm sorry. But it's actually kind of frustrating because when she says sorry, I just be like, it's okay. But when I say sorry to her,
have to understand
I have to understand why I was in the wrong. And it's frustrating because
well, that's good. I'll tell you that's good because that's good practice for marriage because I go through that with my husband.
Who's the older one?
I am.
By how long?
1.5 minutes.
Wow. But do you play on that you are the older one?
Yeah, and then she says something stupid. She'll be like, scientifically speaking, I'm actually the one who's older. So I said, legally, I'm the one who's older.
Because you were nodding then. So who's the older one?
Me.
By how many?
8 minutes.
By 8 minutes. Wow, that's a long time.
So you're quite a lot older then, yeah.
So who usually does say, I'm sorry first?
I feel like it's never like one of us because we kind of laugh at we look at each other when we see each other after an argument and we're just like, and we end up laughing and we can't be serious with each other for too long.
Well, ladies, it's been so fantastic having you on. And we're going to go through a quick break now, but stay with us because we'll be back with more discussion on sibling rivalry.
People normally think that there's no greater influence as powerful as Hollywood, but I beg to differ because Godlywood is really making its mark in the world. Now, for those of you that don't know, Godlywood is an initiative aiming to lead women of all ages to become exemplary women of God. We teach women how to make a positive impact in their own lives and their families through monthly tasks and meetings. And one of the great things about Godlywood as well is that we also learn to be giving, so we go out and help our communities. And one of the ways we do that in the UK through regular visits to elderly homes to pamper them and to keep them company. We also have regular events to help abused women, and we have many more plans to help our community. I ended up overcoming lots of insecurities and bad habits, and I've grown so much, and one of the things that I finally beat was the shyness that I had, and I'm doing things that I never ever imagined that I would be doing. And we have many more plans to help our community. So to summarise everything, Godlywood really changes lives, and I'm so privileged to be a part of it.
Welcome back, and on today's show we've been discussing sibling rivalry. We've been talking about competitiveness and how best to get on with your sibling. Now, sibling rivalry typically tends to be really to start off with the competitiveness for the parents' love. Wouldn't you agree, ladies?
Yes, I think
most of the time.
I think that's how it starts, yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we look at sibling rivalry, it always into something quite negative. But I think if we look at sibling rivalry, it's not always necessarily a negative thing. If I try and expand on that, for example, I think sometimes the family is a safe place to have rivalries and competitiveness in preparation for being in the outside world. And sometimes learning to deal with arguments, difficult people and difficult situations, I feel sometimes it can be done safely within the house. So I think it's important to have some kind of rivalry. I think where rivalry is wrong is when the disputes can't be solved and it gets to like a negative or a very hateful place. And I think that's where it becomes a problem. I mean, I said myself as a parent, I wouldn't always necessarily step in, but if I saw rivalry between my children become very negative or destructive to their personalities, at that point I would, because I don't want to be seen as the parent who favours one child over another. So I would try and make my best to be balanced. But I think the rivalry is, in some aspects, quite important for adult life.
Do you think it's important to step in though when it kind of gets to sort of hitting and name calling even?
Yeah, I think it doesn't even have to get to hitting, because sometimes words can be just as painful as hitting. And I think when I see it, because amongst my children, I will step in, but I would never make one feel better than the other, like, you know, you're the better child. I would never, or I try never to, let it come to that. And if they protest and say, okay, mum, you're favouring, at that point I would try and even it out and say, no, that's not the case.
Because I think we can see some examples in the media of, you know, that there are plenty of siblings that are quite high profile and they get along, but it's the media that tries to put across like, oh, there's no way they can be, you know, siblings and not really want to like kill each other, you know, with the competitiveness. And I touched earlier about like Venus and Serena Williams. You know, Serena's the younger sister, but has eclipsed Venus in terms of the amount of trophies and you know, being number one women's tennis star for so long. But in the media, they were always looking for, you know, how could they possibly, you know, even if they're playing against each other, like, oh, how's it going to be? It's like they've shown that they are a very close family, but they're both on top of their game. And you see it in like in Hollywood, you know, you've got Liam and Chris Hemsworth, almost Thor.
Yeah.
Wasn't a little bit of a, you know, smaller film, but it's like they don't appear to have any problem with being competitive, you know, with one another and pushing ahead in their careers. But it's everyone else that's trying to, you know, interpret a look or someone's not there and it's like, ooh, you know, putting something that's not there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about adult siblings, and actually I wanted to kind of get onto something because according to research, 1/3 of sibling conflicts do survive into adulthood. But why do you think that is?
I think of unresolved issues. I think sometimes how it can go into adulthood is if, for example, the parents didn't deal with it right. If the parents did favour one child over the other, and if the parents did put down one, and I think that way it goes on to adulthood because it no longer becomes rivalry. Now it comes to a point of it, oh, you cannot think that you're better than me. And I think that's when it becomes dangerous. So I do think that the parents or whoever's bringing up the children need to at some point stop the negativity and don't go into the favouring of one child more than another.
Yeah, and some, you know, they have to realise that some people, everyone's got different personalities, even like we're saying with the twins. So it's like one person can be more sensitive than the other one, and, you know, they don't deal with things, it gets swept under the carpet, and then they take all those issues into adulthood. And whereas they're like, why can't you just get over it, like, you know, your brother Jack? And it's like, because I'm not Jack. And they need to treat them as such, but deal with the situation. I've seen it where, you know, families, they don't speak to one another. You can't put somebody in the same room as one another, and you've got to be so sensitive. And I'm talking, this may have started in teens, but then I've seen it and they're in their 40s and 50s, and it's really destructive, and it's really sad to see.
It's sad. Well, I think parents have a really tough job to do though, because if I think back to obviously I've got my two sisters, as you've seen us making the macaroons together. But when I think back now, I was always quite a sickly child. And for that reason, my mum was maybe slightly more protective of me and worried about me, more concerned. But obviously, maybe comments that she'd made, I can't point out anything specific, maybe comments that she made or the way she behaved with me was obviously noticed by my sisters, because growing up, they would often bring that up, like, you were always mummy's favourite. And I never actually felt like the favourite. I knew that I was very clingy to her, but I never felt that I was more loved by her than my siblings. But they both had often brought that up. So it can be tough, because I don't think she intended to do that, but obviously I had a different situation going on to what they had. So it can be a hard
I think
job.
that's quite interesting, because when you go into adulthood, you have an opportunity to be in control of your own life. Like for myself, I was the middle child. So there's 3 sisters. So I had one sister older, one sister younger. And my older sister would be the one my mother would probably more turn to, and she would do more things with. And then my younger sister was like the baby. So I always consider myself as the spare child. Now,
lovely.
And so I think it came to the stage where when you become an adult, things become really silly. Are you going to still be fighting for your parents' attention when they're in their 70s? You know, what's the point? And so I think for myself, I learned to appreciate where I was in the lineup. I learned to say, okay, it's wonderful having sisters. And I learned to embrace that on my own terms. And I never felt the need to please my parents or, you know, fight for that attention. And I think once I myself realised that part of our life is behind us, you know, because there was sometimes occasions where my parents probably did favour. Well, when I say favour, she was given a bit more responsibility, and so was treated differently from us. So, but when you become an adult, are you going to let what happened in your past affect your future? Are you going to allow yourself to be that kind of prisoner? You have to embrace where you are in life. And I think because I felt that way, and I am that way, I've learned to enjoy having siblings. Siblings can be absolutely your best friends, but it's how you deal with the situation. If you're going to be thinking about, okay, when we were young, this happened, my mum did that, that's past. And there's nothing you can do to change that part of your life. You need to embrace what's happening now. And you've got these people, you've got shared backgrounds, shared understandings, so you can make that into something positive. And if you work to make siblings something positive, it can be something that can be great for your life. So my aspect is, parents do make mistakes, and things do happen when you're younger that you cannot change and probably wasn't even right. But you have to look at, how can I make it right today?
Fantastic.
See, I'm the eldest child. And I have to say, looking back, when we were a lot younger, my mum didn't favour us. I mean, there was 2 girls and a boy, and my brother had to clean up and cook the same way we all did. You know, as far as my mum was concerned, we were all gonna be, you know, have that kind of responsibility, and she never favoured one over the other. When we got a bit older, I think my brother was the last one to leave home, and like we said to her, she would complain that sometimes, you know, he doesn't do this or he didn't do that or he acts in this way. And I said to her, well, that's because you're softer on him than you were with us. But it wasn't coming from that we were jealous. We were grown, we left home. So we could see that, you know, maybe she was having that, you know, empty nest kind of syndrome kind of thing. But we're old enough to be able to see why that she was like that, and there was nothing significant, nothing that we could say, you know, oh my gosh, you're really like pushing us to the side. We could, as adults, understand that because of her being the good parent that she was earlier on. And when we were older, I knew that I'm not gonna let something so petty, you know, get in the way of a good relationship with my siblings or with my parents. And people need to realise that you have to invest in your family.
Yes.
There is no point in allowing a grudge or, something like this to fester and grow so much that somebody that you share DNA, that you share blood with, that you're then going to treat worse than you would a stranger.
Yeah.
You're going to have other friends that are out there that you're going to treat closer. It's not worth it. I mean, we know there's the saying, you can't choose your family, you can choose your friends. So you can't choose your family. What are you going to do? Ignore them? What the problem that I find that people have is when we go to a funeral, when someone dies and everyone's like, oh, I should have done this, I should have treated that person better. We should have done... You don't need to wait for such a catastrophic incident, for you to wake up and see that you need to treat people better. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's like things that are so petty and that are not worth it. And I know it's easy to say when I've not gone through something that's devastating, because when you look outside, there are bad things that happen,
stuff,
that can drive people apart. But if you want to get over it, you can. And that's the key. People don't want to. You want to play the victim. You want to, keep hold of the grudge and keep feeding it. That's what stops people from getting over it. So it's like, invest in your family, be together with them.
Great. That's great advice. Well, sadly, we are coming to the end of the show. But before we go, I want to share something personal with you all and with our viewers. Recently, I went through a comparison, I should say, that happened between my sisters and I. Growing up, as I said before, I never really had such big sibling rivalry, but I had somebody recently who kept really comparing me to my other two sisters. So they were kind of in one category and I was in the other. And it was kind of, I'm this negative thing and they're this positive thing, and it kept on happening. And it did actually lead me to feel quite insecure and to feel like I was slightly less than them. And I, being the confident person that I am, I actually did start to kind of look at certain attributes that they had, certain qualities, and start thinking, it's true, I don't have those. And even though the situation got resolved, I got to speak to that person about how they made me feel, that seed was already sown. So I was left, always kind of comparing myself without even realizing. Subconsciously, I would do it. But then I realized that it made me feel a certain way. I was not as confident, and it took up a lot of my mind, a lot of my thinking, all of this. And I had to realize that actually this is having a very negative impact on me. And often when there are comparisons that make you start comparing yourself to others, there is never going to be a positive impact. You can look at somebody else and say, they've got that good quality. Oh yeah, I should try to be a bit more like that. Or maybe I could do with being a bit more discreet or maybe I should try and be a bit bolder. But then to kind of put yourself down because you feel that whatever that person has is better than you, that's very damaging to you. And for me, when I realized that, I kind of had an aha moment where I realized that, of course, I am different to them, yes, but that's because I've been made differently. It's because I'm not them. And they're actually different to each other. We're all different. We have been individually and wonderfully made. And we have to celebrate our differences. The same way that they've got things that maybe I don't have, I also have a lot of qualities that they don't have. And I celebrate that. And the moment I started to think that way, it changed my mentality. And I'm going to be honest with you, I will never feel inferior to anybody again. But that's because I've had that aha moment. So that's what I want to share with you viewers. You have to have that aha moment. And that only happens when you stop and think and you realize that, no, there are so many great things about me. I am different, but I love being different, and I will celebrate that. So that's my message to you. Don't forget it. And it's been wonderful being on the show today. It's been a great show. And if you have any comments or any questions, you can email us at comments@dkw.me. Until then, see you next time.